news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The French security is on high alert after 3 people are killed in a knife attack in the city of Nice. COVID-19 cases exceed 44 million on the global level, with more than 1.17 million fatalities. And President Donald Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden rally through the battleground of Florida, putting on full display their contrasting approaches to the resurgent coronavirus pandemic. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. An attacker armed with a knife killed 3 people in the Mediterranean city of Nice, the third attack in 2 months in France. The assailant was shot by police and hospitalized after the killing at the Notre Dame Basilica. The attack took place less than a kilometer from the site where a man plowed a truck into the Bastille Day crowd in 2016, killing dozens. The attacker was believed to be acting alone, and police are not searching for other assailants. The Anti-Terrorism Prosecutor's Office opened an investigation into the killings. The novel coronavirus has killed more than 1.17 million people since the outbreak emerged in China last December. At least 44.56 million cases of coronavirus have been registered. Of these, at least 29.95 are now considered recovered. The United States is the worst affected country, with 227,701 deaths from 8.86 million cases. After the US, the hardest hit countries are Brazil with 158,456 deaths, India 120,527 cases, Mexico 90,309, and the United Kingdom with 45,675 deaths. Europe has recorded 270,927 deaths. Asia reported 168,592 deaths. The Middle East 58,516, and Africa 42,149 deaths. Belgian clinical studies to study the effectiveness of blood plasma for people recovering from COVID-19 are at risk of being suspended because of low plasma stocks, prompting a call for more blood donors to come forward. The Belgian Red Cross is supplying plasma to 2 hospitals, University Hospital Louvain and CHU of Liege, which are leading 2 clinical studies in the country to see how plasma containing antibodies from COVID-19 survivors can help infected people. The nation of 11 million people now suffers the highest rate of coronavirus infections per 100,000 citizens in Europe. It had 1,448 new infections per 100,000 residents over the past week. The number of patients in intensive care units, ICUs, is doubling every 8 days, with 5,554 people in hospitals. President Donald Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden will rally supporters today in the battleground of Florida, visiting the same city hours apart and putting on full display their contrasting approaches to the resurgent coronavirus pandemic. Opinion polls show Biden with a significant edge nationally, but his lead is tighter in battleground states. With its 29 electoral votes, the state is a major prize in next Tuesday's election. Trump will stage an outdoor rally in Tampa. Thousands of people have crowded together at recent Trump rallies, many eschewing masks despite public health recommendations. Biden, in contrast, will hold a drive-in rally later in Tampa, where attendees will remain in their cars. He will host a similar event earlier in the day in Broward County in South Florida. In the days leading up to the election, the pandemic that has suspended life across the United States this year, killing more than 227,000 people and causing millions of job losses, is roaring back. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo today said Washington would find new ways to cooperate with Indonesia in the South China Sea and respected Jakarta's efforts to safeguard its own waters while rejecting China's unlawful claims in the area. Pompeo's visit to Indonesia comes amid a five-nation swing through Asia, where he has sought to strengthen strategic and economic ties amid rising tensions between the United States and China. Next month, Indonesia is expected to sign the world's biggest trade pact, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, that involves Southeast Asian states and China, but not the U.S. Pompeo also met Indonesian President Joko Widodo today and is scheduled to make an address to an Islamic youth group. Azerbaijan today launched its heaviest missile strikes in a month of fighting on the largest city in its Armenian-populated breakaway region of Nagorno-Karabakh. More than 130 civilians have been killed and thousands displaced in fresh clashes that erupted last month between Azerbaijan and Armenian forces over their decades-long conflict for control of the disputed territory. Moscow, Paris and Washington co-chair the Minsk group of mediators that has failed to bring about a lasting breakthrough since a 1994 ceasefire. Foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan were due to meet today with the Minsk group co-chairs in Geneva. Nagorno-Karabakh seceded from Baku in a war in the 1900s that left 30,000 people dead. At least 252 people from both sides have been reported dead in the recent flare-up that began last month, the deadliest since the 1994 ceasefire. The European Union will arm itself with potential punitive tariffs against the United States and other rivals if they take advantage of World Trade Organization paralysis and refuse to settle trade disputes. The European Commission, European Parliament and the European Council, which represents the 27 EU governments, agreed yesterday on a new enforcement law to protect the bloc's interests in cases that would normally be handled by the WTO. The WTO's appellate body, which has acted as a Supreme Court for international disputes, became paralyzed last December after Washington blocked new appointments and left it with too few adjudicators to make new rulings. The EU has agreed in interim appeals mechanism that would produce a final settlement with a series of trade partners, including Australia, Canada and China, but not the United States. A typhoon that officials said was the most powerful to hit Vietnam in 20 years blew away from the country today after setting off landslides, sinking boats and knocking out power to at least 1.7 million people. At least 35 people were killed and more than 50 were missing. The immediate focus for rescuers was on 3 villages in the country's central region where landslides killed at least 19 people and are suspected of burying more than 40 others in thick mud and debris. Also among the dead were 12 fishermen whose boats sank yesterday as Typhoon Mulav approached with winds up to 150 kilometers per hour. Another 14 fishermen were still missing. The typhoon blew off roofs of about 56,000 houses and caused a massive blackout of Quang Ngai province. Still to come in our news bulletin. Muslims across the globe celebrate anniversary of birth of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Oman oil price December 2020 delivery reached $38 and 55 cents per barrel. According to Dubai Mercantile Exchange, Oman oil price declined by $1 and 22 cents. The average price of Oman oil November 2020 delivery reached $41.60 per barrel, thus $2.72 lower than the price of October 2020 delivery. Exercise being implemented by Royal Navy of Oman RNO are continuing. The event came within the framework of annual training plans of RNO to sustain the preparedness level for its fleet and raise the combat capability in its personnel in various naval specializations to achieve noble duties entrusted to it. A number of RNO ships are taking part in the exercise with the support of Royal Air Force of Oman. The event was followed by Rear Admiral Abdullah bin Khamis al-Raisi, commander of RNO. The birth of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is one of the Islamic events celebrated by Muslims across the globe. Each country has its unique way of celebrating the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In the Egyptian capital, Cairo, the streets are decorated and small candy stands, locally known as as-suradiqat, can be found everywhere in celebration of this beloved occasion. The tradition of manufacturing of Mawlid al-Nabawi sweets goes back in history. It started in 1928. Imam and Rufa'i Sweet Factory has been improving the quality of the sweets, and currently there are 52 types of sweets. Due to impact of COVID-19 and the increase in the cost of raw materials used in manufacturing sweets, the sweet prices in Egypt hiked as sweet manufacturers and retailers struggle to keep their business afloat. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The French security is on high alert after 3 people are killed in a knife attack in the city of Nice. COVID-19 cases exceed 44 million on the global level, with more than 1.17 million fatalities. And President Donald Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden rally through the battleground of Florida, putting on full display their contrasting approaches to the resurgent coronavirus pandemic. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.